What's up, everybody?
Hello.
Hey, Joe. Hi.
Hey, what's happening, guys? We're a couple minutes early. We're waiting for our guest, Dan, to hop on. What's up, Jen Kuhn?
Joaz, I'm sending, that drip campaign I'm sending out.
Everyone
So-
can
somebody just responded, the one I'm on week 3, it's like, miss me? And he's like, excuse me? I might want to change that.
yeah,
well.
you're stalking your entire.
I'm stalking.
Is that realtors or is that
Yeah, it's realtors to join the team. So I guess he's not. That was funny. I thought it was funny though.
Yeah, you're gonna get a restraining order placed against you, but that's fine.
I know. Miss me? I guess not.
All right, guys, we're just waiting for Dan to hop on. Unless he's here. I don't think I see him just yet. See some familiar faces. It's quiet in here.
It's quiet today.
As well. Dude, my biggest fear is like when the guest doesn't come, right? Like I'm like, oh my God, is he gonna be here? Am I gonna have to like talk to all these people by myself today? It's like my biggest fear in the world. I'm gonna have
You can handle that.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. I see him. He's here. Yes. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, you guys. That's
Don't mind my background. I moved my computer from my dungeon of a basement so I can have a window in my stepson's room. I went to go live with his dad for a little bit. So I'm here in his room. I got his trophies. I'm like, oh God, so embarrassing.
Perfect, man. You know what's funny, man? I was I do a lot of masterminds with Kyle Whistle in San Diego, and he's like the only dude I know. Like he very purposefully has like, the background and the pictures perfect and the awards
That's too
and all
funny.
that. And everyone else is like, guess what? It's COVID. This is real life now. So this is what you get, right?
That's right.
Dan, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
I feel like dude, I feel like this is kind of like a podcast sometimes, dude, right? Like I'm like, I feel like we're doing a podcast, but it's on Zoom. Dude, I'm gonna quick intro you and then we'll jump in. Is that cool?
Absolutely.
Awesome. I know you're a super busy guy, so thanks, dude. Thanks for doing this, man. We've got about 19 people in here. We so this started off as like the Joe Oz team training, right? We just did a training every Thursday, and we just started to open it up to whoever wanted to join us, really. And now it's turned into, I think last week there was somewhere between 50 or 60 people. It's anyone can join, anywhere in the world, in the country, any brokerage, it doesn't really matter. And what we've found is that, we come from contribution, right? We come from sharing. We learn, at least we think that doing this thing alone kind of sucks, right? And like,
Absolutely.
we want to lean on each other. And we also know that like at different production levels and different stages of where you're at in your career, those people are having the same challenges, and they should be able to connect they should be able to connect, and they should be able to share ideas, wins, losses, right? Like, I think one of the most valuable things I get from my friends and mentors and colleagues and whatever is like, I find out what they did that didn't work, so I don't have to do that, right? I can kind of sidestep that thing. And then from this thing that we do every Thursday, people, it's a great way, especially with COVID, right? It's a really great way to connect, you know? And, you know, there'd be times when I would try to go to my real estate office and connect with someone, or maybe try and catch someone, ask them a question, and it didn't always work, right? It was a game of like timing. And now, you know, through the internet, through Facebook and Messenger and Instagram and all these things, you know, we can all connect a little bit better. Now, Dan's a friend of mine. Dan's someone that I look up to. Dan does a ton of business. What I like about Dan is he's a really humble guy, man, and he shoots you straight and he keeps it real. Like, he's like, yo, I just came from my basement dungeon to my stepson's room, my trophies behind me. Like, he's an open book. You know, like what I noticed in the real estate industry is a lot of people are ego driven. A lot of people are faking it. They're you know, and you know, Dan's just not one of those guys. You know, he'll tell you what's going on. He'll you know, this guy, the first time I called him, you know, he took my phone call, you know, and a lot of these agents that do a lot of business, sometimes I'm like scared, or, you know, I'm like, oh, will they take my call? Or, you know, do they have time for me? And Dan just is that guy who's like, yeah, man, what's up? What do you need? And I remember first met Dan, and we did a panel in Asbury Park. We did like a mega agent panel with like 5 mega agents. And I for sure was like the one doing the least amount of business out of everyone. And one thing I learned was the people that are like doing what you want to do, that, you know, might be on that next level of achievement or have busted through a ceiling that you're looking to bust through, they usually are really happy to give back. Like, they're really happy to like share what's going on, what works, what didn't work. And then I invited Dan to this panel, and he came, and actually all the agents that came, I was like, oh my God, they all came. They all came. That's awesome. And then we all kind of, you know, we all kind of came together, and we're better friends because of it. So Dan, thanks for being here, man. I'm just going to jump right into some questions.
Absolutely.
Let me pull this thing up. Right. So
yeah, I have your questions here in front of me. I didn't get a chance to fully read through them, but
I guarantee you know the answers. So
right. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, we you know, it's not, we didn't do the pre-interview, right? But like, anyway,
I am sad I'm missing a themed day here, though. I mean, I came on that Hawaii Day call or whatever it was.
Dude, we did Hawaii Day, and we just haven't done the next one. Like, that was the first one, and it got a little crazy, man. It was wild, and we're gonna do another one, and it was a little bit of a distraction. You know, we're like, because we're like, all right, we're gonna do rock and roll. All right, we need inflatable guitars, we need wigs, and like, it's like, okay, we're gonna do this like once a month.
Right.
But dude, that's funny, man. I'm glad you were there for that one. So anyway, man, just tell everyone who you are. Can you tell us about your business? Are you a single agent? Do you have a team? Production in 2020 and years in the business, please.
Yep, absolutely. So as you can see from this nice marketing gimmick here on my shirt, no, kidding, it was just the only shirt I felt like wearing. So I'm with Keller Williams. I've been with Keller Williams since November of 2007. And then I started in real estate in January of 2005. I started, I don't know if you guys know the company Help You Sell. It was a discount broker. You know, so I started because I got licensed as a real estate investor. And then my friend, when I was talking to her, she's like, oh, my uncle is opening up an office. So I end up talking with him, and I end up being his assistant. So I've literally done every job in the real estate field. You know, from being an admin to being an agent, you know, being a team owner, right? So that really gave me, for a good 2 to 3 years, first year and a half, I was in college. So I was just doing my thing, you know, part-time. I think 2005, I sold like 6 houses. Never really looked at it like that. And then I graduated that May of 2006. And I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? Do I do finance with my degree? And I interviewed a couple places, and I'm like, this is sales. Like, I'm already in sales. Why don't I just give real estate? So real estate a go. And my friend's uncle ended up offering me to stay with him as his like true assistant and a buyer's agent paid me like, I think it was like $400 a week in commission. I was 21, 22 years old. So to me, that was enough. And I ended up doing that. I'm glad I did it because I learned a heck of a lot. I learned a lot from that. I got to learn the process. I'm a very systems oriented person. This personality, I'm a high S, high C. So I go way against the grain of what they quote unquote say should be successful in real estate, and as a sales and a team, as sales owner, sales agent and a team owner and such. So for me, it was more or less, I like to learn a lot. I've always been learning. So when I went to go look for a new opportunity and I saw somebody, I was at an investor group meeting and guy says, talking to him about my situation, he says, "Oh man, you need to go and talk to this guy." And I was a team leader at that office. And I talked to him like, where the heck was this? And how did I take so long to find this? I'm glad I found it because it's exactly what I needed at the time was that training and education, which is funny because me and my brother, when we got licensed, we went out and bought 2 books. I bought like the Real Estate Agent's Success Guide or something like that. And he bought this red book. And I'm like, I look at the book I got as a gift and I'm like, crap, this has been on my brother's shelf for like 3 years and we never read it, So it's just funny, like kind of ironic how it all kind of came about. And then Joe, that's how we met because I met through a referral, Gary Molson. And then, Gary was working with you and we connected there and whatnot. So, the rest for that is kind of history. I mean, I gave myself a chance in 2007 to go on my own and, really never look back.
Yeah, it's awesome. And thanks for sharing that. What was your production last year?
So our production last year, so I've grown from being a solo agent, obviously, to a team owner. And our production last year was 274 buyer and seller sides for about 62 million in volume. The year prior, we were 261 units for 51 to 52 in volume. So our sale price just skyrocketed for our area. And I think we went up about 25 grand.
How'd you do that?
Whopping 225.
Okay, so that was nice. So average price point is what right now?
So average price point right now, I just looked at it the other day. We're like 235 right now. And I think that comes a lot with me being in the business for 16 years.
Right.
And I think really having that reputation for people to give me a call and want us to work with them, so it's that opportunity that we're given now. How do we do that? I really don't know. I think that's really it, is just kind of everything that happened to me has been organic.
So I was always told, don't concentrate on units and the volume will come, right? So
Yep.
like, I believe that's 100% true. And that comes with just being in the business and the seasonality. Can I ask you where, actually, let's do this. How many people are on your team and what do they do? Do you have admin? Yep. Like who does what, man? Like on the.
Absolutely. So I'll say this too, because back in 2008, I was doing a transaction with a co-op agent. And I ended up talking with her because her office was shutting down. So we ended up partnering up and we were like 2 agents that just kind of worked together and just shared the expenses, but we had our separate businesses. Well, that stayed for about 8 years of us doing that. So through that process, I hired a coach, got real committed to goals and numbers. And I'm a numbers driven person now, but I wasn't before. But like my schedule is everything, following schedule, tracking numbers. That's what I do, right? I think that's been the key to what my success has been, and that's why I've actually had to grow a team. I never set out to do this. So when Cheryl and I partnered up in 2008, we were just 2 solo agents doing our own thing, shared expenses. We were young in the business. And then we naturally just grew. So business went from, doing 2 transactions a month for 3 or 4 years to do it individually to doing 5, to doing 6. Then it set a goal to do 100. Well, over that time, hired an assistant to handle some of the listing stuff. Then they started taking on some more of the transactional stuff. Then we realized that they were too busy and we needed more help. So we brought in another part-time person to help with marketing and such. And then we realized, all right, we're running these buyers. We don't have all the time in the world. We're doing 60 transactions. Like, I need to leverage that. So hired a showing assistant. So we've just naturally kind of grown, and thankfully I've, kind of followed the, millionaire real estate agent guide as much as I can. I'm not perfect with it by any means. But I tried to follow that as much as I could. And then eventually we said, hey, we want to make this a business. We hired a business coach that really helped us pull it together. But honestly, once we did that, it lasted 4 months and it blew up. And I'm like scratching my head because she went one way with our main assistant, who is like the really, really great assistant at the time. And I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? I have an ISA. I have 2 buyer's agents. I just had a 3rd buyer's agent come on board. My listing assistant just said that she gave her 2-week notice before then. I had a new girl coming on. So I'm like, I had to clean up a mess. So thankfully I had a coach at that time, and I regrouped and I went out and I hired an executive assistant for myself. Someone that could do it's like executive assistant transaction manager. And then I had the listing manager, Taylor, who's still with me. She's been with me since 2016. That's still her role. She does a phenomenal job. So she handles any of the active listings, helps get us ready for appointments, handles the active listings for our scheduling photos and getting it onto the MLS. And she's a big help in handling agent questions and such. So if agents are inquiring about the property, she's able to answer some questions or kind of keeps that from bogging me down with a lot of that stuff, right? Because I'm the lead listing specialist on the team right now. So through the process of having the executive assistant, I realized, you know what, he got me through that transition, but it wasn't enough. So we're having some transactional issues. I realized that, and then I went out and I sought out an agent I did business with before we were talking. I said, you know what, I have this opportunity if you're interested. And I just caught her at the right time. She's walking in to drop off an escrow check to a local office with her 1-year-old on her hip crying. And she's like, let's meet. And I tried to recruit her as an agent to Keller Williams, then I tried to get her on the team. And then it was just like, hey, I need a transaction manager that knows what the heck they're doing. Can we talk? And it worked out. So she's now my operations manager. Since she's transitioned, we have a listing transaction manager and a buyer's transaction manager. And then our listing assistant who's on the active side there. So that's the operations side.
And how many buyer agents do you have?
So we say buyer's agents, but they're really sales agents on my team. They can do both list and sell. So I have Greg, Erin, Lauren, Ashley, and then 3 people that are doing a 30, 60, 90 right now, Ben, Nicole, and Jackie. So there's 7 plus myself, who's the lead listing agent right now. And then Fred, who is actually sitting on this call right here. He's our new ISA who just came in to our world in January. So he's actually a friend and a past client. So awesome. He reached out about an opportunity he saw on like Indeed. And I said, yo, no, don't go there. Come talk to me. And we put that into place.
Wait, you just said 30, 60, 90. What the heck does that mean?
30, 60, 90. So that's basically every 30 days they're getting, we're tracking what they're doing. We're making sure they're staying on track. And we're having a conversation around that. If they're not getting the results that we desire, they're not following that plan, there's going to be conversation and unfortunately potential, hey, it's not a right fit.
So when someone joins your organization, you have like a plan for them?
Absolutely.
That's cool.
More than happy to share those plans too.
That's awesome. Yeah. So if you guys are hearing that, if you're looking to build a team, when you're aligning with someone, Dan's saying that he spends about a solid 90 days with them, getting them up to speed, going over standards, expectations, things like that. That's awesome, man. And then how does a showing, did you say that you use showing partners?
Yeah, so we had a showing partner. So basically it just started out like, hey, can you go show a couple houses for me here and there? And then it kind of grew into, wow, I really like this. I don't have to go out and show the houses and I can still do the deals, get the transaction done for them. Because my strength is negotiating and getting the deal closed, not so much driving them out to go see a house, right? House is going to sell itself. As long as this person can help, push them to that decision-making, I can take it from there. So, so any buyer that I was running at the time, I started working with the showing the showing partner, and they were paid at that time it was like 15% of the gross commission, but that's because I wasn't really running it like a business. It was just
Right.
like okay, I'm getting this commission, I'll give away 15% for you to show houses, sure. Now our showing partner makes 10% of the commission, and as a team owner, so it's basically the team is 50% on that buyer, the showing assistant is 10, and the agent is 40, right? Because and every team runs differently. It's not right or wrong. Every team
That's
is
the model
different. I
I've
have
heard.
different splits worked out as well. There's
10%
differences
comes
all
from
around.
the agent, not the team, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
Then that way they can just do more, right? Like that gives them
Yeah.
leverage. That's what they're paying for.
Yeah,
They're paying
absolutely.
back too. They're paying for their time back to go spend with their families or to go do more deals, right?
On my team, all I want my agents to focus on is number one, practice scripts, presentations, and pour into themselves. So that's first and foremost. I'm very growth oriented. Lead generation, lead follow-up, going on appointments, and negotiating. I don't need you to do anything other than that.
It's almost like you and I were trained by the same person.
Pretty much.
Eric Keller. So that's awesome, man. No, I love if you guys and we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna open up for questions, maybe like quarter to the hour. But so far this is awesome, man. Can I ask you and yeah, there's probably the agents of Keller Williams speak a different language, right? So like if you guys need some acronyms or whatever,
Yeah, right.
things like that, ISA, showing assistant,
It was
3069.
funny. My friend who was local here reached out to me when she saw you put the post out yesterday, and she's like, "Are you moving?" And she's the one from EXP, and I was cracking up. I'm like, "No, he's a good friend of mine. Don't stop." But
Dude, I know.
if I did move, I'm not going there.
Dude, if the paparazzi sees you at the bar with me, dude, it's gonna be on the front page for sure, man. Like they're like 100%, bro. Trust
Absolutely.
me. Holy shit! Like you do not want to associate with Joe Oz.
Too funny.
You're gonna get some phone calls, right? You're gonna be on the real estate TMZ page. So all right. So if and I know you're a numbers guy, and so am I. I love that, man. What we measure gets accomplished. So where's your business come from, man? Like top 3 lead sources, dude. And by the way, congratulations to do the talent. The talent is in the units, man. Like when you can manage people and transactions to the level that you have, you're truly running a business, and that means that your systems have been tested, right, man? So congrats.
Absolutely.
That's why,
They're
I really
still
look
tested.
at you a lot, man, because you do way more than double what our team does, and like your stuff's got to be your systems have to work, man, and that's hard.
Yeah.
You must have broken those thousands of times to get them
Absolutely.
right. But anyway, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what one of the things I love most about you, and I really look up to you and that those that what you built. What what are the top 3 sources? Like where does business come from for your team?
So I personally, when I hired my coach, I really started to focus on number one is the database. That's first and foremost. If you're not talking your database, then someone else is going to, and they're going to get taken right out from under you. And I'm honestly, I'll be honest, I personally am not doing a great job of that. Like we have to get Fred on our ISA department when we grow that out to be really more on top of that. I was really good on that. I actually went through, when I was a Helpy, so I went through the Brian Buffini program, which is, oh, by the way, I'm never too busy for any of your referrals. So I got to learn how to do that. And I really started to focus on that. And then, it's funny, I left Help You Sell, and I went on my own. I'm like, well, I can't afford this, so I'm just gonna do it on my own. I never did it on my own. So that blue box that he had was like perfect for me, and I was using the system. Then I tried to recreate it on my own. I never did it, but I stayed with the calls at least. Actually, it's funny. One of my agents that's been with me since 2016. She was the one that was new coming in when the team split. She's a friend, past client, remained a friend after that. So thankfully gave her good service. And then got into real estate, and I helped her along the way there, and she's been with me ever since. And she even said, she's like, I would call her and leave messages every quarter. Hey, Laura, how you doing? It's Dan. Just want to see if you need any real estate help, right? And she never got back to me. But then when she needed rental help, she came to me. Then when she needed to buy, she came back to me. Then she wanted to get into real estate. So I created that mental thought that Dan is the real estate professional. Now, she was a bartender at a local restaurant. She knew a ton of people. she's chatty Cathy, you know, she's a high ass personality, very sociable. So she knows everybody. But she came to me because I just kept on with that. Nobody else was doing that, she said. Now, on the flip side, her sister would get annoyed with that. Her sister, who I knew, you know, and I would leave her those messages. She's like, all right, you got to stop calling me. So you're going to have some people that really are welcoming to it and other people that it's like, you know what, scratch that, forget about it, right? And you can't let that bother you.
Bro, so I thought about this today, and I'm just sharing, like, had a conversation with my coach yesterday about like our database, right? And we're hardcore prospectors, right? So we take listings, but we grind it out, right? And we're not focusing on our database right now. It's a major issue for our business. And my coach really, like, he lays into me, you know? So like, I really reflect on it for about 24 hours. It's all I've been thinking about since this time yesterday. But, you know, I gotta say, man, I'm so happy you said that, because so we do a lot of prospecting to people that don't know who we are, right? And it's brutal, by the way. We do it. That was a ceiling we had to bust through after, you know, like we thought we had worked our database or our sphere. But when we talk to people that, like, we get a lot of appointments, we get a lot of at-bats, right? We don't win all of them, right? But we're really good at finding the people that are thinking about selling their house. And then we really good at conveying or communicating our wall of value to get that appointment, right? And then when we get there, it might be between two people, and then there's times we don't get it. And then when we go back and we're like, what made you choose the other realtor? They're like, you know what, Joe, they don't have as many sales as you, and they don't have the whatever, but you know what, he's just been calling me for like 3 years, and I can't not use, like, he calls me every year and says, Happy New Year, and leaves me a message. And like, I play that tape over in my head. And that's what I do. Same as you, dude. Like, we come from the same thing. So like, I have my database once a quarter. We heavily talk, we always lean on client events, but it's hard to do now. But like, I just still make that phone call and leave that message, man. But I just wanted to chime in there, man. That was really cool.
Yeah, that is the top way that we get business. Agent referrals was very lucrative for us last year.
By the way, where do you do business so these people can send you their referrals? Yeah,
so I'm about 20 minutes outside of Philadelphia in South Jersey. That's what made us great referral partners, because you guys don't come down, like we're not going. No, you're not going down there. So I've gone all the way from the lower end of Burlington County all the way down to the very tip near Delaware and Salem County. So I mean, I cover a pretty large area there.
Have you ever met the Jersey Devil when you were in houses?
I've always wanted to go back in that area. I think what's it, in Atco, I want to say, or something like that. I always wanted to go back there, and I'm like, nah, never mind.
So guys, if just in here, when you have someone in South New Jersey, like look at like along the Delaware River, like that's
exactly.
I've sent him, people ask me all the time. They're like, it's like Jeff Quinton, right? People are like, they think Jersey Shore, they send stuff to him, but we're not the same Jersey Shore, so he sends them to us. So South Jersey stuff, get it over to Dan. So anyway, you said database, agent to agent referrals.
Agent to agent referrals have been very, very good for us.
Maybe another one rounding out the top three. Yeah,
I would say, man, it's tough because my business primarily is the database. I mean, I would call expires, I would call FSBOs, but I'll be honest, like, I didn't do a ton of that. Although I was calling them, I wasn't doing a ton of that. My database generated a lot, but I think it's because I was putting everything out there to the atmosphere and to the world, saying, hey, I'm doing this. And I would just get people calling me out of the blue, but it's because of all the work I was putting in.
So can I stop you there, man? And to the people that are on this call, we got 26 people here today. My team, we do a ton of off-market stuff. Expireds, canceled, withdrawns, FSBO. Well, we don't call cancel withdrawns. Scratch that. We call expires, FSBOs, things like that. It's brutal. These people are not happy. Like, by the way, there's two reasons a house doesn't sell. Well, there's price. The house is a piece of something wrong with the house, or there's something wrong with the seller. And that's who I wind up working with, right? And when you can work with your database, your life is just easier. And so don't, like, everyone wants to do, like, new agents are like, I need a prospect. No, talk to the people that you already know, right? Like, and that was the fastest way that I got into business. And the only reason that I have other sources of business is because our team is growing and we want to do more units, right? And that's all, right? And so Dan, can I ask you, man, what advice can you give anyone, like a new agent, experiencing, like what can I do to know that I've fully like tapped into my database? Like, how can I just stay in front of my database? How can I work a database? Can you take like 5 minutes and just tell us what you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, so I set up, as you know, I hate using all the KW stuff, so forgive me for it. But
No,
I mean,
it's cool,
that's
man.
what I've learned. That's what I am, you
That's
know.
where
Like,
we're from, and
I've
boy,
done
I
it
have this.
33
This is right
times.
here, dude. I think. By the way, Gary Keller is like
That's a business book. It's not even.
Yeah,
It's not about Keller Williams. It's a business book. You
no,
know?
but a lot of, I'd say half the people here speak that language. We got Chris is at KW in Florida. Like, there's a bunch of KW people here. We get it.
So I put them on a 33 touch, right? So I had a focus of, all right, I'm going to send an email blast to them. I'm going to follow up with phone calls once a quarter. I'm going to wish them happy birthday. We're going to do 2 client events a year, which that's what we were, like you said, we were really trying to grow that. I think we were coming into something really good. And it was crazy, you know, with COVID coming in and stopping that, right? So we want to really get back to that because we were starting a really good thing there. My operations manager was putting something good into place. And then I'm trying to think of what else. Like we would send out like the schedules, right? So we're Philadelphia area, so Phillies, Sixers, Flyers, Eagles. So we would send those out. Those things stay up forever. People love them. So for the cheap cost that it is, it makes sense to send those things out if you're in an area, you know, there. So
it's just easy, right? Like, just find.
Yeah, it's just easy, right?
33 touches. A
Yeah.
33 touch is exactly what it sounds like. You have to touch your people 33 times a year. You know, there's text message,
Yep.
email. Like, there's only a few ways you can contact people. Mail, send them something in the mail, call them with your telephone, text them with your telephone, or send them an email. Just do that 33 times, right? And
pretty much.
it becomes a system, right? Dan, I'm sure you have a system around this that pings you. I'm sure you have in your CRM. It kind of
Yes.
tells you.
So, and what I would do is basically I said, okay, I have this many people in the database and I want to touch everybody, you know, 4 times a year. So how many do I have to touch every day in a quarter? And I'll build that out and I'll put them on the plan, and then their name will pop up and I am calling them. And then the emails is just, you're sending a mass email out most likely, right? The direct mail is you're sending out mass direct mail. So you know that your touch is there as long as you have their address. So it's really just staying focused on cleaning up the database and having, like you said, having that plan written out as to, okay, this is what I'm going to do every day. But the key thing is just being consistent with it. Once you become inconsistent, that's when, like, everybody's going to have a friend, a family member, coworker get into real estate that they want to give an opportunity to. It's going to happen. And you can't let it get you down. Like, it is what it is.
Is your database just like everybody you went to high school with, and then like a couple of people that you play softball with, or do you like add to it daily, or does it grow? How does that work?
Absolutely adding to it every day. Over the years, I saw the comment come in on the chat about the growth from 60 to 274. What I did when I was younger in my career to get to this level was I added anyone and everyone I could to my database. If I had a phone number for them, I was reaching out to them. If I had an email, I was reaching out to them. I went on Facebook.
What if they live in like Massachusetts?
Doesn't matter. I got people in California that I'll reach out to, because if they need a realtor, I'm going to be the one to connect them.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep going. You know. So yeah, I mean, literally, like, hey, look, if you ever need anything, let me know. I know a lot of great agents throughout the country, and that's how I'm able to give back to the agents that are giving to me. So I went through, like, when I first got in, I went through my yearbooks because I was, fresh out of high school, almost. I was in college, but I went through my yearbooks. I went through Facebook. Facebook, it was literally like, wasn't like it is now, of course. It was like A to Z. So I built a spreadsheet of everybody's names. I'll take like 10 to 15 names a day, and I'll just copy and paste the message. Hey, I'm in real estate. You never need any help, let me know. Some people are like, dude, stop messaging me. And other people I've interacted with, and eventually I've had them as clients, or I've gotten a referral from them. So it was just, when I started, it was just adding anyone and everyone to the database. And then it cleans itself up over time as you're working it, right? Some people get deleted, some people pass away, Some people, what I was focused on was A+ people. I wanted everybody to become an A+. So the Brian Buffini system was your A+ are people that will refer you constantly. Like they refer you multiple times a year, they're advocates, right? A's are people that have referred you once and will refer you when the opportunity is there, but it's not a constant threat of it, right? Like your A+ is like your core advocates there. B's are people that if given the opportunity would, but they haven't referred you, and a C is everybody else. And I've just added everybody, and you're gonna have a lot more C's than you are B's and A's and A+.
So,
But,
I'm glad we got to this, man, because I've had a lot of questions around this recently. I remember I went to like a barbecue across the street from my house, and like I just hung out for like an hour, and these people were like, "Oh, you're in real estate?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, we talked a little bit. They asked me where they're like, "Yeah, we're thinking about selling our house next year." 99.9% of realtors would have just been like, "Oh, here's my card," right?
Right.
So I went home. I got their names, right? I looked them up in the tax records. I knew what town they lived in, right? And I added them to my database, and I asked the neighbor whose house. I was like, "Oh, I want to reach out to them and ask them a question. Can I have their phone number?" Gave me their phone number. Went in my database, called on them for 2 years, and then boom, 2 transactions. Well, it's 3 transactions. Boom, listed their house. Had to buy another one. Referred a friend over here, right? And that was just someone I met at a barbecue, right? They brought up real estate. I talked to them. I added them to the database.
Yeah,
So,
you did something that's really key here that people don't realize is one of the things I said that my agents need to do is leave follow-up. You could have easily just gave them your card, like you said, gave them your card and just said, "Oh, if you need me, let me know." You're never going to hear from them.
never.
70% of our business comes from the follow-up that we do. And that's what working your database really is just following up with people.
Just having conversations, right? And so
yeah,
if you join a softball league, everybody on the softball league should go in your database, right? Like
basically, yeah.
anyone, and so we say it's anyone that knows you, likes you, and trusts you. And I like how you said calling everybody all over the country, because you know what? If they need a realtor, we're just going to connect them and get the referral, right? And then like,
Right.
and not only that, we can help them by connecting them with someone that has some credibility and some integrity and is actually like doing some business, right? I'm gonna let's dive into. Actually, do you want to answer this question right here? I'm curious about the growth from Josh from 60 to 274 deals. What do you think were the key levers?
Key levers. I think the biggest thing for me was just every day I did the same thing over and over again. And I did that because I had a coach pushing me on the back end. So the coach was a definite help with this, because when I went to Keller Williams, that first deal that I did, going from, being an assistant and a buyer's agent to going and having to go get listings and feed myself, right? I called expired listings. I landed this one listing. I got a 7% commission. Man, I was on top of the world. I never did it again. Never did it again. Like never got the 7% commission. I would get expired, but not as frequently. But it was like, oh my gosh, like what? So then I realized over time, I'm like, all right, I got to continue. I got to be consistent with it, right? And that's what the coach helped me with, was every day reporting numbers, looking at the numbers of the feedback to what we're seeing in our business, right? It's whether something's working or not working. And I just focused on how many appointments I could go on. So in 2014, was it 2014? I set a goal to sell 100 homes with a mastermind group that I was a part of through that coaching program. And I remember like me and this one guy that was from the Cherry Hill area up here in Jersey, we were going back and forth like in the 90s. We're getting there, like, and we both like surpassed the 100, but it was like a race at that point. But it was like, I mean, literally it was that accountability of, I have 5 other guys that we set a goal to get to 100 units each. And every day I went in and I made my calls and my database grew, and I was gaining traction with people in their mind that I was now a professional. Because the first 3-4 years in the business, I was a baby, man. I had a baby face. I had a little bit more hair actually, but not much. So it just, I had to really earn the right in their mind to be that professional. And still, I think to some people, like my family, my aunt and uncle, I tried helping them. 2 sets of aunts and uncles I tried to help a couple years ago, and it just did not pan out. And I truly think that some of that was because they just still looked at me as little Danny, their nephew, not Dan, one of the top real estate business owners in South Jersey. You know what I mean? And I don't share it that way either. I don't say it like that. You know, it's just, hey, you know, if you want to use me, great. If not, no big deal. Like, you know, I'll go find somebody else to help. But I've never been, I don't need to be number one. I don't like being number one. I don't want that target on my back. I'd rather be always looking to get better. So I'm always looking. This is why I'm here. I want to get better. You know, I want to go around the country and find what other people are doing to make them successful and implement that into my business. And I think that's been a key piece to what has made me successful and what allowed the business to go from 60 to 274 units. But that wasn't without help. I mean, every one of my team members contributed, whether they were a runner or taking listings, right? Like they all contributed in one way or the other. And it's appreciated because they're allowing me to live a life that I want, and I'm hopefully allowing them to do the same.
Dude, you just said so much awesome stuff. Like, so basically what I consider that was like, we do it as a team, right? Like nobody succeeds alone, man. I always talk about like, one thing that I hate is like that self-made stuff, right? Like nobody's self-made, man. You do it if someone said good job, you're not self-made. If someone like, you know, whatever, like that stuff's just not there. Like we're all going to do it together. And the other thing I heard was like, it took you 4 years to do that. You didn't just like, you're not like a millionaire overnight and you're like, oh,
No,
like
my man, my success is
like,
I've always been success is gradual then sudden, right? So I put the pieces into place. I could tell you this is how, not telling my numbers. So from when I went to Keller Williams that first year, I did 19 transactions. And actually at one point I had to write a credit card access check to get money into my bank account because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills this next month because I didn't have a closing or whatever the case was, right? I wasn't smart with my money. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that I really focused on the money and really putting taxes aside and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I did 19 deals. Then I did 22 deals. Then I did 21 deals because I got a little complacent, right? And then I did 25 deals, sorry. And that was like, I surpassed 4 million in volume, did 25 deals. Yeah, things were great. The following year, I did 54 deals. I had 27 done by June. And I'm like, whoa, okay, this is cool. Then it was 60, 66, 108.
Dude,
but over that time, there was a lot of leverage that took place during that time that enabled me to focus on my calls. And I was just very diligent with just tracking the business, making sure I was reporting my numbers on my coach, you know, and really just pushing. It was every day I was in there doing it.
Yeah, those ceilings, right? I love that you just broke that down. So you just told me it took 4 years to go from 16 to 25, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's boom, ceiling bust through 50, 60, boom, 100, boom. And that's how it goes, man. Like those are the ceilings that we talk about, right? And then Dan was willing to do, you know, Dan's willing to do what it takes to bust through. And you don't have to bust through the ceiling, but Dan probably during those years when you're like 20, 24, 21, 22, 25, those are the years that you're just figuring out your systems and trying to figure out how to bust through that.
Absolutely. I'm still figuring it out. I'm still changing things on my team. And, you know, I will say this, you know, if you're looking to grow a team, one thing you have to do is be crystal clear on your standards and your systems, because I am not very clear on that at times, and it creates conflict where conflict is not needed. I now am really starting to own that value that I provide. Like I've never looked at it as though that I'm a value to the team, but really that is why people come to the team. You know, that's why they want to be a part of it. And I just never looked at it that way, but now I'm starting to kind of feel that and see it. And I know that I got to step up to that now.
That's awesome, man. Do you, the agents on your team, do you supply them with leads? How do they do business?
I do. We're working to get them more. I always say to someone, if you're joining my team for the leads, then that's the wrong reason, because I can help you. I'll teach you fish. I'll show you how to get to that point. I'll show you what to do to get the leads. You got to put the work into it. But if you're coming here because you want these leads, I've gotten them. We've done Commissions Inc. We have 1,500 buyers in there. We've only closed a handful of them. Thankfully, we have Fred in place now, and he's starting to go back through those lists, but we lost opportunity because nobody kept calling those people. You know, they maybe talked to them twice, and then that was it. And I said earlier, 70% of the business comes from follow-up, and I let that slack. We had 1,500 or so people in a database that we did not go after. So I pulled back from that. And a lot of it was the database. So I passed out more of a warm referral. Like if somebody in my sphere wants to buy a house, hey, I'm going to say also my sales agents. I list the houses, they work with buyers. So I do a lot of that. And if it's agent referrals, obviously, I'm passing those out. But it's more or less, I do watch, all right, who's putting their time in, who's really doing what they should be doing here. I'm not just going to give it to anyone. They got to be really stepping up and showing up.
That's awesome, man. I'm going to ask you one more question, then I'm going to open it up for questions. I will say, by the way, Will Hickey, maybe Will is our ISA, maybe him and Fred can connect, if they want to share ideas,
Perfect.
like what one person's doing, like that's kind of a part of what
Do
we're
it, Joe. I already contacted him directly.
Cool,
Sorry.
guys. Awesome. And
Sweet.
then
Thank you.
Sam Marks, I think you just hopped on. I think you're on showings. Dan's doing, he's utilizing showing specialists as well. So he probably, I don't know, might be a good person to talk to when we
Absolutely.
get there,
That'd be
right?
great.
Is there any, Dan, dude, I want to see your real estate crystal ball, dude. Where's this thing going, man? Where do you see the real estate industry going? What's going on? What, like, I don't want to talk, we all know about the market. We know there's no listings, but, where do you think this thing's going? Anything you see on the horizon? You've been doing this a really long time, dude. When's Gary Keller's been telling us the shift since 2016, and we thought coronavirus was the shift, right?
I know, man, and it went off.
We're not gonna we want you to be the Nostradamus of real estate.
Yeah, right. Honestly, I am flabbergasted by all this. I know when I came into the business, it was here and then it went down here, and thankfully I was able to sustain that. And I'm on the rise now. But I'll tell you what, I mean, it's harder now than I think it's harder now than it was back then with the lack of inventory and just the craziness. I was on your call the other day with the that luau call or whatever, was about the buyers and setting up the offers and such, man. And we're dealing with the same stuff in our marketplace. It is not easy to be on that buyer side. So what we've been talking more about is really using the buyers as the listing and going out and finding the sellers, having the sellers raise their hand. So, one of the things I want to task Fred with soon is going to be calling around an area saying, hey, we have a buyer that is looking for a home in your area. And I know that was something that came up on that call, but you got to consistently do it. I mean, you have to do it. You got to put it out there. Social media is so critical right now because people live on it. Let's face it. I mean, they're addicted to it. So they're on there constantly, and you got to put it out there. You got to put it on every single platform you can. I don't know what's going to happen with this real estate world, man. I see that the rates are starting to creep up little by little. Once they unload these foreclosures, I think that's going to change a lot. But until people feel safe with the COVID and all, I mean, it's just, I don't know that we're going to see that other inventory. So I think it's still got to ride for a little while.
Yeah, we said we got our first forbearance, like someone who didn't put their mortgage payments off for a year, and they've been pushed. And they're supposed to be due March 1st. Now they've been pushed to July 1st.
I became very well versed with short sales. I used to actually negotiate my own until I'm like, all right, this is the point. Let's get an attorney involved, But when the market changed before, so I'm well versed in the short sales. So, hopefully, I mean, some people might have equity right now, but if not, we're gonna be able to take some market share, I think, because of
I
that.
agree. So I got my license in 2007 as well. So you and I kind of went through the same thing. Us that's, if you didn't do short sales from 2008 to 2011, 12, you weren't in
Right.
business, right? You just couldn't do the business. And I saw all the agents who were printing money in 2004, 5, 6, whatever. I saw them leave the business and then whatever. But cool, man. I'm gonna I have a million more questions, but that was really great stuff. I'm gonna open it up. Who has some question? Catherine Longo, I know you have a question about your database, or I know you have a question.
Well, yeah, I've been putting together my database for Lauren, and I have only come up with 168 people because I left it to all of New Jersey, but I certainly have contacts all over the country. So I'll just add now.
Dan, do you get those people that are in different parts of the country? They get everything, right? They get the mailers, they get the phone, like they get everything.
Yeah,
right?
they'll get everything. They'll even get the magnets too.
Okay, I needed to hear. Okay, thanks. That was like, sorry,
Yeah,
Catherine.
because it's a touch. I mean, if you think about it, it's a touch.
That's all it is. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I totally get it, man. Like just listed in Asbury Park, New Jersey. Who cares? Oh, Joe's still selling.
I don't do a lot of that stuff. Like I don't do the just listed, just sold like mailings like that. I've never been big on that marketing. I've been very prospecting based. My whole business was built off of prospecting. I enhanced it a little bit with the database with marketing, but not much outside of that.
Cool. Who else has a question or an aha?
Yeah, Joe, Dan, you mentioned social media just briefly there at the end. Obviously, everyone's all over it now. I was curious, like because for me, it's like when I talk to my database, I want them to be able to look up and see, oh, this is what Sam's doing, or this is what Sam's team's doing. Like I feel strange going to them with nothing to say that is going on, right? So what are you guys making content? Or are you just consistent in talking about new listings? Like what is it you're putting out there that you think is valuable?
We're actually revamping this because we've done a really poor job of it over time. I'm a straight shooter with that. Like I'm more critical on what I'm not doing than what I'm doing well. I know that we can do a lot better with that. I don't personally post. I post like rarely ever. And when we do post and we put things out there, we're trying to be fun. So like during like the beginning of COVID, like we were doing some of the TikTok stuff we would try to put together as a team and get it out there and make people, smile and laugh, and it generates some good energy around it. But as far as like if you are touching base with your database, I would recommend maybe going to their social media and see what they've been doing recently and make that a point of conversation, with them to kind of get that rapport built up again if you haven't talked to them in a while. Like, oh, I saw you guys just went here. How was it? We've always wanted to go there.
Right. It's a funny thing for me is I'm one of those people who doesn't post a lot on social media too. So it's unnatural to me. And I've got like a real estate Instagram and a personal Instagram. Right. And I don't follow back people who follow me on my real estate Instagram, but I figure it sounds like it'd be more valuable to use that.
Yeah, I think you got to use both. I think you got to mix it in. I think it's the only way you're going to see that traction. We have a guy in our marketplace, Sam Laporte. He's built his Instagram to over like 10,000 followers. I think a lot of them, like he did a campaign to pay for them basically, but now he can do swipe up, look here, like he could do a lot of stuff. I mean, it's a lot of things that he can do with that. And his marketing is like, in my opinion, compared to me, I'm like a 0.5 on a 1 to 10 scale, and he's like a 11.
What's his name? So I can
Sam Laporte, Lepore.
Cool. Thanks, Dan.
Absolutely.
By the way, one huge takeaway from this training is that the guy Sam Laporte has probably been doing social media for years. Like all this stuff takes time, guys. Like it takes time. And the reason why the National Association of Realtor has an 85% fail rate is everyone gives up after a year or 6 months. Like the stuff takes time, and it shows up down the line. It doesn't happen overnight, you guys. And I love when you said, it's gradual, then it's sudden, right?
Yep.
Cool. Who else has a question?
I have another one. I use Facebook, but I really kind of hate Facebook. I have been getting a lot of traction on LinkedIn over the years in my other previous businesses. Do you use LinkedIn at all?
I have an account, but I'm telling you, I'm the worst with social media. I should be on it more, but it is time consuming. I mean, if you're going to use it, just time block it. I would absolutely use it. I think it's a good tool. But
not purposeful
time block it.
I'm the same way, man. I don't use
exactly.
So just time block it. You're so smart. It's like prospect.
100%. I think to myself, man, how much am I actually missing out on that I could be capitalizing on? Like if I was just doing some of this stuff.
Dude, yeah, we have agents that we're friends with that like they don't prospect, but they spend an hour or 2 hours on social media making sure they have the right pictures and they tag the right people and whatever. And that's another form of prospecting, right? But it's not hammering the phones. It's not knocking on doors, which I don't know.
Joe, social media girl over here.
There
I
you
have
go.
some. So when you said that you met the person at the barbecue and you said, hey, what's your number? Like, I feel like I'm a natural connector, but instead of saying, what's your number? I would have said, oh, what's your Instagram? And I would have connected that way. So I was going to say, is that okay? Like, 'cause since I'm new, like, that's just what I do. And then my touches are that way because I like, remember when we talked about the girl with her booties on, like, so that's just what I do. So that's okay. That's another form of prospecting, correct?
So that's a form of prospecting, but what you want their contact information so you can purposefully market to them. Does that make sense? So
Right.
what Dan was saying about the 33 touch, if I have your phone number, your email address, and your physical address, and I can market to you. We can send you the stuff in the mail. We can make the phone calls. We can whatever. But a 33 touch is the important part here is just staying consistent and staying in front of people. If you I'm not the social media guy. If you're asking me permission, I'm not going to, I'm sure it's fine. But as long as you're purposeful with it and you're staying in front of people, which I think that's what you do. Like I
Like
mentioned,
my happy birthdays come from seeing somebody's birthday or
Yeah,
seeing on
totally.
Facebook that it's listed. So I would say, hey, happy birthday.
yeah, I
And
think that's
they
awesome.
comment right back like a text message. So it's it's staying in contact, but they're not on a database in an Excel sheet because I don't have all of their information. Because the mom that I met at the Little League game, I'm not like, hey, what's your address?
So this,
Joe, your goal should be to get their information though. If you have it on that spreadsheet, your goal is now to fill in that information, find the
So
missing
put them in
information.
there, have the blanks in there,
Absolutely.
and then get it as it
yeah.
comes.
So then like what you would do is that Instagram person, you would say, cool, man, by the way, my team and I, we do a handful of client events. We send out gifts in the mail. I want to make sure you have my information. What's the best contact information for you? And it's funny.
That's how it's going. Like right now I have a lot of blanks. So I'm just going to keep on throwing names in there.
That's perfect.
Okay.
That's perfect. But no, that's true, man. I brought my son, we were at a skate park and I saw like young, like, I don't know, like 20-year-old teenagers, like a boy and a girl. And the boy went up to the girl and was like, hey, what's up? I was like hitting on her. And I was like,
What's your
and he's
Instagram?
like, "Yo, what's your Instagram? And I'm like, what? What's your Instagram? Like, that's how they connected with you. No one asked for a phone number. And I was like, what? And then and my buddy who's like knows about social media, he's like, yeah, that's what happens now. Like no one asked for a phone number. Like, what's your Instagram? And I'm like, okay, I believe you. So yeah, no, what you're saying makes total sense. But I love what Dan said too, where he said the goal is to get them into the
Get
database.
'em on
The database, imagine you have let me know if this analogy comes across. The database is like inventory. So if you have a store and you open up a store, you have to put something on the shelf. Like you have to have inventory. That's what the database is. It's like without the database, we have no one to market to, and there's no one that we can like help.
Okay.
Hey guys, sorry, Mackenzie Morello here.
Kenzie, what's up?
Great, happy to be here. I have this thing brewing in my head for weeks, and I mean, I'm a brand new agent. I haven't even finished setting up my KV core or anything. So here's the thing. I have a business, a power washing business here in Jersey. And over the years, I generated about 6,000 clients, which I have on my database. So my question is, how will you approach that database? Because I'm just afraid, since I don't have experience as an agent, if I send an email and like an intro video to everybody, is it gonna be too much for me? Should I send couple hundred of those a week? How will you approach that?
I would absolutely recommend chunking that down and not getting it out to all 6,000 people, because when they respond to you, it's just going to be overwhelming. So I would absolutely build a plan around touching those 6,000 people over time, and have that set up the right way there. I think it's a great thing. You already have a database. As long as you're marketing that database for power washing, if you still have that company, they still get marketing from the company, but then also, hey, I would let you know about a new venture that I'm in, a new business, a new career path I took, whatever. If they know that you give great service, then they're already going to have an instant trust with you at that point.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be embarrassed. I'd be excited. But hey, guess what, dude? It sounds like you probably power washed like 10,000 houses. I'd be like, hey, man, I've power washed so many houses. I know one knows houses better than me. So many people were asking me for advice about their house because they were getting it ready to get it on the market and do this and that. And I wound up referring other realtors, and I decided to be the person. So, who do you know that's looking, who has real estate plans for 2021? But yeah, I would try to call, call 10 people a week, call 20 people a day, whatever that looks like, and build that. That's how you're going to build the database. And by the way, I'll add about the database if that's okay. People will say, like, what if they hang up on me, or what if they're mean to me, or what? That's not they don't go in your database. That now that they're not one of your people, right? Now
you're not calling enough people. You're not talking to enough people if they're not getting mad at you and hanging up on you.
For sure, man. Like, if they don't like you, or they're mean to you, or it's weird, they are just not part of your database. You're creating your database. So,
I've been talking a lot about this with NLP, Joe, is where you got to mirror match everybody.
Right. Yeah, it's true, man. So it's like, if someone's like, well, what if they don't like me? I'm like, cool. Now you never have to call them ever again, or mail them something, or invite them to a party that you're going to throw for your clients, because they're not our people. And then hopefully the next call is, and just make the next call somebody that that likes you, get you back in a better mood. Dude, that's about all the time we have. We're going to announce this. It's funny you brought that up, Dan. So the next 4 weeks or so on this training, we're actually going to be doing a book club on the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. So when you're joining in, I'm just going to give everybody kind of a heads up now. A lot of people are joining that are not with our team. Our real estate team, the Mauz Group, we do a refresher on this once a year around this time. We're going to go through it. We're most likely going to chunk out around 50 pages per training. We're going to underline it. It's going to be a mastermind. If you're on the training, I'm going to call on you. We're going to share what stuck out to us. And, if anything, Dan Mauz just validated, he mentioned it, that's the business model that you follow, correct, Dan?
Yep.
Awesome. Cool. Well, dude, thanks for being here. I want to respect your time. That was really awesome. I got a lot out of that. I know everyone here did. And I'll check in with you later. Thanks.
Thanks,
everyone.
Thank you,
My
everyone.
pleasure.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Dan.
Thank you.